is getting close to the end of the year, which means that I'm going to look at the best books I read all year. I only read 34 books as of time of recording this, which, is pretty good for a year that I was at university, and I feel pretty happy with my reading this year. I decided to go with my top 5 for this video because although I could have done a top 10, there were books that I felt like were really amazing and then books that I thought were good, and I just really wanted to narrow it down into my top best recommendations of the year. In 5th place, We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. This is a relatively short novel about a girl and her kind of journey when she starts college. I really loved this book. I thought it was really cute but also really emotional, and the kind of lyrical way that the story is written is really beautiful. Also, it's gay, so anything that's well written and gay is going to be a good recommendation from me. In 4th place is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Radio Silence is about a girl called Frances who has kind of been driving her whole life towards going to a really good university, and when she kind of meets this guy Aled, she begins this friendship that she hasn't ever really had before and discovers a whole new side of kind of being young and what it is that she wants from life. I read 2 of her books this year. I read both Radio Silence and I Was Born for This, and you can really tell how much better her writing is getting with every book, but I think, for me at least, Radio Silence is going to stay my favourite of her books for a while. I really loved the relationship between the characters, and particularly Frances's development within the story of kind of figuring out how to have friends for the first time. It's not a topic that a lot of authors tackle, especially in late teenage years. In 3rd place is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I had such an emotional response to this book. I had heard lots about it before I read it, and I kind of knew the basic premise. The story follows a young African-American girl called Star who sees her best friend get shot by a police officer when their car is pulled over for no real reason. It's based on the ongoing situation in America with Black Lives Matter and the increasing racism that is kind of continuing to become really dangerous both abroad and in the UK. This book was really intense, and partly I think it was so good because it's so clearly drawn from real subject matter and is talking about an issue that I think lots of young people need to be talking about. But also it was beautifully written, and the character development within the book was really nice. Seeing that kind of well-established family dynamic was really interesting, because a lot of YA doesn't really look at functioning families. They're often kind of parents are bad and siblings are annoying, but this book really let you into Star's world and kind of showed you that her family loves each other and cares for each other in everything they do, even when the actions that they do don't have the best outcomes. Number 2 is This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. This is a book that takes the diaries of an ex-junior doctor and just kind of publishes them in order that they were written. So Adam Kay was a junior doctor up until 2010, and he quit in 2010 after 5 years of being a junior doctor because the NHS is fucked, basically. And this is a book that is just his ongoing diary as he was learning to be a junior doctor. It's heartbreaking. It is absolutely soul crushing, but also funny. It's dark and disturbing but beautiful, and it made me cry so much. And I really love the NHS, and I'm so angry about what the Tories are doing to it. So if you want to feel angry about how underfunded our NHS is, I would really recommend that you read this book. And if you don't want to learn about how underfunded the NHS is, why not? Because it's being underfunded and it's going to fuck us all over. The best book that I read all year, I think, was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because I went in completely blind, and I think that is the best way to go into that book without knowing anything about the plot or who anybody is. The only things that I will say is that this book made me cry. It made me really think about what I want from life without being about anything that I really aspire to. And it made me reevaluate how I go after the things that I want, as well as just revel in the abilities of the human race as a collective. So if those sound interesting to you, and even if they don't, I would highly, highly recommend reading that or any of the other books that I have talked about in this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow.